This is Michael Reid with your Inside the Election coverage here from Chestnut Hill College. Today on the show we have Dr. Kovach, who's a professor of sociology, and Fahem Johnson, who's a psychology major. We'll be discussing some real issues surrounding American politics that you should know about. Welcome on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Kovach, I have a quick question for you first. So do you feel that voters make an educated decision when in the voting booth?
It's not a question of an educated decision, you know. It's like, what information have they had to process before they get into the voting booth? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I mean, the ads are about, you know, it's negative campaigning, it's sound bites, it's glitzy ads, it's ads that don't really tell you much about the candidates other than personality factors. So what do you really know about their ideology? How many, I'm even surprised with students, that students don't take the time to go to a McCain website, go to an Obama website, and look at the actual policies that these guys are promoting, you know something about their policies, their ideologies.
I consider myself as an informed citizen, and as you know, I was involved with the CHC Students for Barack Obama last semester, and we did a lot of things, try to get people involved and people informed about a lot of things. And before I even supported Barack Obama, you know, I made sure I looked at each candidate, you know, and what were their issues and what were, you know, their policies and things that they were going to do. And you know, he was the one for me, but it's really a stressful thing because a lot of Americans aren't really educated when it comes to the real issues at hand, because you know, it seems as though America has turned into this theatrical standpoint when it comes to the politics and caring about, you know, who said this and who said that, and it's just word of mouth information, and it's not really educated decisions when they go into the voting booth, because they just go off of gut instinct or what someone said or what they believe, and it's not really, I think a lot of Americans don't make the right decision when it comes to choosing the right candidate on real issues. So.
And these issues are interconnected.
Yes.
You know, I heard a student the other day, he was complaining to me, he says, Dr. Kovach, I still don't have the textbook for this class. The textbook's expensive, and he said, I just don't have money for books. You know, and he actually made the tie later. We were talking about different governmental expenditures, and he says, gee whiz, he says, you know, he was reading about students in many European countries where higher education is free, where
yes.
the books would be free and taken care of. And he says, geez, maybe we'd have money for free books for me, or at least subsidized books for me, if we weren't spending $10 billion a month in Iraq. And he started to see the connections. And I think in their heart of hearts, Americans know that these real issues are connected. But I think people know it in their heart of hearts, and that's why they get disinterested in politics.
Well, I have to ask you a quick question then regarding that, about responsibility. I mean, I know prior that there was candidates actually used to be forced to discuss issues at debates and such, but I noticed it moved away from that. You know, at the convention and stuff, they're just saying, it's basically, I feel like it's fluff. You know, well, mothers stay home with their children and stuff.
Yeah.
Who would you point the finger of responsibility at to say, you know, was it the media's fault that they moved away from issues because the media is covering more issues that are not related to elections?
You certainly have to blame the media for a lot. I think Fahem would agree with me. You know, I heard something this morning, and they gave an excerpt from a speech, and it was about the economy, and it was saying we are in a time of economic crisis, and here is my plan. And it was from FDR's acceptance speech when he accepted the candidacy as a Democratic candidate. You know, did you hear that kind of speech from McCain or from Obama in their conventions? No. A little bit about economics and a little bit about education, a little bit of this, a lot of fluff, a little bit about who this candidate is. And, you know, we're in a time of crisis, and you're right. We should be talking about, well, what is your plan?
We're the ones eating this stuff up. You know, we're the conventions clapping when they show the videos of Sarah Palin shooting a moose. It's us that are clapping. So why is that occurring? You know, is it because this population in general just lacks the true interest in politics, or they just feel that, you know, let's look at the fluff instead of
I'm going to defer this.
I don't know. It might be. It's very confusing. It might be voter insecurity, because now it seems like we just want to make the person that we vote for more like us, when the person can be like us, but we need someone that has the credentials to run this country, instead of, you know, okay, you know, this is an inspirational story about someone being a POW, or this person struggled dealing with racism, and going, that's a part of the story, but of the candidate as well. But I would like to hear the real concrete issues, instead of, you know, making this whole theatrical movie trailers about things that don't really matter. It's focused on, you know, the real things at hand, and it's really very frustrating, especially for me as a person who considers themselves an educated voter, who would like to hear things like the economy, the war, and military spending, things like that discussed, instead of, you know, push more towards the real issues. It's like intellectualism.
We
so,
are.
Yeah.
We are. As much as we like to say, oh, we value education.
Exactly.
We don't value education. Someone who's well educated, who's thoughtful, who gives thoughtful answers, we say he's too bookish. You know, he's too much Obama. He's an elitist. He's a feat. He's not one of us. So we don't value someone who's really well educated and thoughtful.
As always, if you have any comments on this story, you can come to us and talk about it, or you can come on the show and talk about it as well. Until next time, this is Mike Reid. Take care.